Hey, I'm Ritsu, and I'm here to tell you which games you should play and which games you should not. Don't play generic military shooter number 14, play Hello Kitty Online or Final Fantasy. For the plot. Anyway, I just got finished playing Gitaroo Man on the PS2, and it's pretty cool. It's a rhythm game developed by Innis, the company that developed Osu and Elite Beat Angels for the Nintendo DS, which went on to inspire the new Osu game. And by inspire, I mean they're almost exactly the same game, which is super dope because they're cool games that are relatively rare, and now millions of people are experiencing it through the new Osu, a platform that allows the community to create their own charts and use whatever songs they like, with leaderboards and all that jazz. I haven't gotten into Osu, to be completely honest, as I've yet to kick this Project Diva addiction, but I have a lot of experience with other rhythm games and I'm always open to try new ones as long as the music's good. So Gitaroo Man follows our protagonist, Ouendan, a young boy who's got it rough. He is bullied by another boy named Kazuya and is practically invisible to his crush Pico. So after a not so good day, a talking dog named Puma teaches Ouendan how to play the guitar, and immediately after a nipple devil attacks them both. Ouendan is given a Gitaroo that he can use to defend himself. After defeating the devil and a UFO, Ouendan learns that he is a part of the Gitaroo Man bloodline, and as such, it is his job to collect all of the 8 legendary Gitaroos so that he can save Planet Gitaroo from an evil overlord named Zoe. Oh, and I should mention that Zoe looks exactly like Kazuya. There's also a Pico lookalike on Planet Gitaroo who you get to serenade under a tree and then battle her to the death in an arena filled with blocks of people. Throughout the journey, Ouendan steadily gains more self-esteem and confidence, which ultimately helps him woo Pico and stand up to Kazuya after he saves Planet Gitaroo. In hindsight, I'm pretty sure none of this stuff actually happens, and is just Ouendan using his imagination to escape from reality. It's never really said whether or not that's what's going on, that's just what makes the most sense to me. The whole story is very quirky and lighthearted, and it reminds me a lot of Parappa the Rapper, in the way that it handles its story. Always lighthearted and occasionally borderline surreal. Not only does it use cutscenes to tell part of the story, but both games also have the plot points in the stages. But Gitaroo Man goes a little further and uses plot points to contextualize variations in the gameplay. For example, the Sandbone Trio level starts off with Puma captured by the enemy. Because of this, Ouendan doesn't have his Gitaroo and cannot attack the 3 Skellybones, so you are stuck with only dodging their barrage of attacks until Puma is knocked free. Or in the battle with Kira, where Ouendan stops playing mid-stage because he doesn't want to fight her, and then the song you play switches over to an electronic version of the song you played for her under the tree. Maybe I'm gushing about things no one cares about, but I think stuff like this is pretty cool. So Gitaroo Man is pretty similar to almost every other rhythm game. You listen to music and press buttons to the rhythm. I mean, that's kind of what defines the genre. In this game, there are 2 modes that you will switch between. The first of the 2 will be the attack/charge mode. This is for dealing damage to the enemy and charging your own health bar. You will spend most of your time in this mode. You're supposed to follow the trail with the left thumbstick while you tap the circle button whenever a note is on top of the blue circle in the center of the screen. Then you hold the button until the end of the note's tail. Did I just say tail? Like it was an animal? Huh. And that's pretty much it for that mode. The rhythms change around a bunch and the length of the notes vary drastically. Even though only having to press one button is simple enough, it's the rhythms and directions that really get me. In a bunch of rhythm games, the rhythm of the notes tends to be on a chart. That probably doesn't make sense at all when I word it that way. I mean that in games like Dance Dance Revolution, you can tell which notes are which notes by looking at the space between them. If these notes are overlapping or right next to each other, then they're probably 16th notes. Or hey, these notes are more spaced out, that means that they're quarter notes. Triplets over there, half notes are here too. Shit like that. In those games, there are indicators to tell you, hey man, play it like this. And if there aren't, usually the rhythm you're playing will be from the melody, so you can just listen for that. But in Gitaroo Man, this rarely happens. Most of the time, the rhythm you're playing to is from the melody U1 is playing, but if you mess up anywhere you can't hear it, making it harder to get back on track than it needs to be. I'm probably the only person to complain about this, but it's probably the reason why this game was so difficult for me to get the hang of. Anyway, next is the guard mode. This is for guarding against enemy attacks. Basically, you press the triangle, square, X, and circle button to the rhythm of the enemy's part to defend. If you miss a note, then you will take damage. Normally, you will switch between these two modes on the fly during stages, but there is one level where you are in guard mode the whole time. I wish I could show footage of that one, but it doesn't emulate well at all, and I'm not trying to be the cause of any seizures. That's pretty much all there is to Gitaroo Man's gameplay. Almost every level is structured the same way with some variation in late game. You start with a charging section, then you attack and guard a few times until it's time for the finale where you take the boss out. And just like any game, it starts off easy and progressively gets more and more difficult. In the later stages, I found myself retrying each one several times before I could pass, often passing while I was one miss away from failing.
The legendary Gitaroo.
This song is like 7 minutes long, and after 6 attempts I finally beat Zoe's punk ass. My thumb hurt so much, but my soul was set free. Even though I had to retry many stages over and over again, I did not mind in the slightest because this game has an amazing soundtrack, which I think is the most important aspect of a rhythm game. There are multiple genres in the OST ranging from drum and bass to metal to some shit you would hear on a random Dance Dance Revolution mix, which is really surprising considering that everything was composed and performed by this Japanese band named Coil. The Sandbone Trio stage has fucking industrial mariachi music and it sounds so good that I didn't even mind them kicking my ass 7 times. I don't think that there's a single song on the soundtrack that I don't like, but I do have a clear favorite, and from a little bit of research it seems to be everyone else's favorite as well. That would be the legendary theme, which has both an electronic and acoustic version. To be honest, I prefer the acoustic version as I feel like it better captures the endearing nature of the song, but they are both really good and I've had them stuck in my head ever since I finished the game. Another thing I like about this game are the character designs. A lot of the characters look like they came straight out of a 7-year-old's imagination, and I'm all for it. It's fitting too when you think about how playful this game is, and to make things better, everyone gets their own loading screen, which all looks simple and clean. Okie dokie, dislikes. I don't like the level where you defend the whole time. Earlier I said that I can't show this stage, so I'll make this complaint quick while I play footage from the second half of this fight. So if what I'm saying doesn't match up with what's being shown, you know why. So the song for this level is the drum and bass track, which sounds good, don't get me wrong, but there's so much fucking percussion going on that it makes it 10 times harder to find the rhythm that I'm supposed to be paying attention to so that I can hit the notes when I need to. This pretty much led to me spending more time retrying than any other of the supposedly more difficult levels that come after this one, though I'm 90% sure that this is a me problem and not a game problem. I also hate how when you pause the game you are forced to restart the stage. At first I assumed that this was to keep players from cheesing levels by giving their thumbs a rest midway through, but it turns out the developers felt like this was a problem and fixed it in the PSP port of this game, so I guess it's all good. Gitaroo Man is a pretty dope game. It has a cute little story about a young boy taking down an alien overlord while gaining the confidence to get the girl of his dreams. I highly recommend this game to everyone. If for some reason there's no way you could play this game or you don't have 3 hours to spare, at least listen to the soundtrack, especially if you're a music lover. It's pretty darn good.
Oh yeah!